I was playing outside with my daughter, and she is such a great teacher. Jessica is such an amazing. I learned so much from just watching her and listening to her. And we were playing in the mud. So we spent I found the realization that has we spend a lot of time trying to impress our kids or our lovers or our family members or whatever, and try to provide, like buying her. She has so many toys, man. Just, I mean, millions of dollars in toys, I'm sure. And so, but the thing is, she's completely content with a hole about this. You know, we dug a hole first and we filled it up with water, and she's jumping in it and playing in it. Completely content with a hole so you need shovel, dirt, and water, you know, to make her happy. And so, and seeing her be happy just reminded me of that's really what life is all about, is just being happy and being in joy. And that kind of ties in here to the science of getting rich. So the first question is, what is the science of getting rich? When I was deciding what I was going to talk about tonight, you know, specifically, I just asked myself several questions, and so I'm going to go through those with you and go give you the answers I came up with. But first and foremost, what is the science of getting rich? Personally, for me, it's a teaching and philosophy that has, and using it and living it, has made me very, very wealthy, has brought me lots of wealth in it monetarily, also with love, you know, I'm very healthy, you know, so all the way around, it's not really just teaching only about money, it's about the holistic life. Why is that the science of getting rich has given me so much wealth? I ask myself this question. Has given me so much wealth in all areas of my life. Why is that? And it's because it adds value. I mean, what this is, God, this is really a very condensed version. It's very, very explicit instructions for life, from my perspective. You know, it adds value to life in all areas. He talks about mind, body, spirit in the book. And so having money, having lots and lots of money to do things with, allows you to increase in those areas, allows you to grow in those areas, allows you to grow spiritually, to buy books or to go places and do things and see things and have and buy and give and do whatever it is that you want. It allows you to increase your health. You can get a personal trainer. You can have the time, by having money and not having to work, you have the time to work on your body. Spirit, mind, body, it all comes together, and it all you benefit in every area. I'm going to share a quote from Ernest Holmes about value. I'm reading the Science of Mind right now, and it says, I read this just the other day, "The certain estimate of reality is ever evidenced by its worth in actual living." The certain estimate of reality is ever evidenced by its worth in actual living. I had to read that like 4 times to actually wrap my mind around it, but the certain estimate of reality is ever evidenced by its value and by its worth in actual living. And what's he talking about there? He's talking about value. So first we all agree that we create our own life. We create our reality. Then we have the courage, once we establish that, we have the courage to stand up and claim whatever it is that's in our life and just own it. This is mine. I did this. I created this for myself. Whatever it is, good, bad, and different, you know, good, bad, and different, whatever. But when we stand up and we claim it, and then then the question is what I get from that is, do we look at it as a lesson, or how can I get value from this, or do we curse it? Because you cannot separate God from creation. It's cause and effect, two sides of the same coin, right? And so you either curse the situation, which means you're cursing yourself and cursing God, or you ask yourself, how does this situation bring value to my life? I mean, we've all had situations in our life that weren't, you know, exactly what we planned or maybe what we thought they would be, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later as we go through the talk, or I'm going to talk about it a little bit later as we go through the talk. But it's about value. That statement, the certain estimate of reality is ever evidenced by its worth in actual living. Value. And that's what this book brings me. It brings value to my life, and through that value, I have grown to be wealthy monetarily. I have an amazing family life. I love my wife, my daughter. It's all awesome. We get to go and do just amazing things together. and I attribute it to the way I've structured my life, which is around this book. Basically, we're planting seeds with our thoughts. We have, they say, 60,000 thoughts a day. Positive thoughts or negative thoughts. Bruce Lipton said that the untrained human mind, about 70% of our thoughts are negative. The untrained human mind, about 70%. Untrained meaning we're not doing stuff like this, or science of mind, or Tony Robbins, or anything that any kind of positive reinforcement. Just a regular untrained mind, 70%. And Ernest Holmes talks about 51%. And that 51% is important. That's where the shift happens. 50-50, you got 49-51, 51% negative, 49% positive, 50-50, you're on the verge, and then at 51%, you've made that shift. You've shifted at that point, and now your life is positive. And it's Wallace sets it out very clearly in this book that he talks about the value of successful endeavor, every act being a success or a failure. If you have more successes than failures, then you're successful. It's a very simple concept to follow. And so what we're talking about here is seeds. You plant seeds with your thoughts. So if you plant corn, you get corn. You don't plant corn and get potatoes. So if you plant a positive thought, you get a positive reality. That's just the way that it is. So you're either planting positive seeds or negative seeds, or you're not paying attention, which means you're planting weeds, right? We're not planting weeds, but weeds are growing, right? And so it's really key. It's really important to pay attention to what we're doing and to plant these positive seeds. Now, Wattles says in chapter 1, on page 4, at the very beginning of the book, he says, "It is perfectly right that you should give your best attention to the science of getting rich, because it is the noblest and most necessary of all studies. If you neglect this study, you are a derelict in your duty to yourself, to God, and to humanity. You can render God and humanity no greater service than to make the most of yourself." So getting rich is the most important thing. It's the most important thing you can do. And in doing it in the creative mind, he talks about the creative and the competitive mind, doing it in the creative mind adds value to you, to yourself, and to all those around you. As you grow richer and richer, you raise those up around you. Raise everyone up around you, and they grow with you. It's about growing. It's really about growth. It's about growing into what you came here to do. It's about growing into your purpose. It's about discovering what your purpose is and growing into it and becoming whatever it is that you think about. Now we know that God thinks. And when God thinks a thought, it embodies that thought and becomes it. And we do the same thing. Now we may not see that happening right up front. We may not see it happening right away, but that is exactly what happens. And practicing the science of getting rich, you'll see this vast improvement in your financial situation, of course, your relationships, your health, and your self-expression. Because your self-expression is your work, and your work, if you think in a certain way, then you'll ultimately, even if you're in a job that you don't think you should be in, or you don't like what you're doing, or not doing what you think you came here to do, if you work with a vision of having and doing and being whatever it is just in line with your purpose, if you work where you are right now with that in mind, you'll end up there. You will. That's just the way that it is. And I've experienced that personally myself. Now let's dig into this a little bit and talk about how the science of getting rich works. There's a syllabus that, I don't know if you guys were reading along with the book with John and Barbara, but there's a syllabus in here that I'm going to read you. It says, "There's a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. A person can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. In order to do this, a person must pass from the competitive to the creative mind. He or she must form a clear mental picture of the things he wants and must do with faith and purpose all that can be done each day, doing each separate thing in an efficient manner. And so, what is he talking about there? That's the syllabus, and that's a great affirmation. It's great to memorize that thing. But what it really breaks down to is vision. He talked about vision, purpose, and faith. He says in another part of the book, he simplifies it a little bit. Behind your clear vision must be a purpose to realize it, to bring it out of tangible expression. And behind this purpose must be an invincible and unwavering faith that the thing is already yours, that it is at hand, and you have only to take possession of it. So it talks about a clear vision. Vision has to be clear. Your thoughts, what you think about when you're in your spare time, that is you communicating to the divine whatever it is that you want. That's how we do it. And we do it by thinking and by seeing it and feeling it, getting emotionally involved with that vision. And so having a clear vision is important. It's key to getting what you want. You're where you are now. Your vision is where you want to be. And then the pathway along the way is something I'll talk about a little bit later. But it's about your vision. Sit down every day. Take 5 minutes. Make it a daily practice. And not only a daily practice in taking the 5 minutes, but live it. Be in it all the time. Go through life on your vision, with your vision right in front of you all the time. Live it, breathe it, eat it, sleep it all the time, every day. Keep your vision at the front. And fall in love with it. Fall in love with your vision. Have passion. That passion, that getting emotionally involved with it, that's what really communicates it. That's what really does it. That's what really impresses it upon the formless substance. And how do you fall in love with your vision? How do you do that?